Fellow Ghanaians, good morning. So this week, in fact, just yesterday, a big national conversation has been reignited. This time, it's about the age limit for recruitment into the Ghana Armed Forces. The current ceiling stands at 25 years. Communications Minister Honorable Sam George and Majority Chief Whip Honorable Roxy Nelson Dafa-Mekpo have both made a strong case for a review of this age ceiling, suggesting that perhaps the maximum age for entry into the armed forces should be extended to at least 35 years. The argument, which I must say I found a bit sound and well-meaning, is that there are still many Ghanaians within the age bracket, 25 to 35, who are healthy, physically fit, mentally alert, and far from past their prime. Many of them have acquired higher education and technical experience, or even vocational training that could make them valuable assets to the military if given the opportunity to serve. And they are right. What truly is the difference between a 25-year-old and a 28 or 30-year-old in terms of physical fitness or mental capacity? In fact, in many respects, a 30-year-old may even be more stable, emotionally mature, and more disciplined, and less impulsive than someone just out of university at, say, 23, 24, or even 25. So when the Communications Minister and the Majority Chief Whip say the age limit must be reviewed, they are expressing a sentiment that many Ghanaians have shared. However, there's a little challenge with how the conversation has been ignited. Fellow Ghanaians, when people are in power, when they have the authority and proximity to make real change, and they begin to sound like those without power or perhaps in opposition, then something is wrong. When a cabinet minister and a majority chief whip of parliament take to social media to complain about public policy and make public calls for a policy review, then one cannot help but ask, do they not sit at the table of power? Do they not have the ears of those who can make this change happen? I mean, respectfully, Honorable Sam George sits in cabinet. He shares the same table with the Minister for Defense. Now, Dr. Kesala Tuforsen is acting. If he truly believes this issue must be addressed, and he's right, and that is what we all expect, what is stopping him from going to his colleague in cabinet, raising it in cabinet? That is where policy is shaped, not in a viral post on social media. The defense minister, the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, are all within an arm's reach of such a conversation. So why does it feel like our leaders have forgotten how to use the rooms of power they already occupy? It is the same for Honorable Roxy Nelson Dafa-Mekpo. As the majority chief whip, he is one of the very powerful figures in parliament, someone who helps manage the government's business in the House, who can get the defense minister summoned, questioned, or engaged in a committee. Yet he also took to social media to call for change. The optics, frankly, are not very good. It projects a kind of political posturing that makes it seem as though those who can act are instead seeking applause for merely saying what the public wants to hear. Then let's go back to the core of the argument, the age ceiling itself. The Ghana Armed Forces are among the most respected institutions in this country. Their discipline, professionalism, and service to the nation are second to none. But perhaps the time has come to modernize their recruitment framework in a way that reflects the times we live in. Around the world, the most advanced militaries, the US, the UK, Canada, France, they all have flexible age limits depending on the role. In the US, for instance, the general entry for the Army is 35. In the Navy, it's 39. In the Air Force, also 39. In the United Kingdom, the armed forces take in candidates between 16 and 33, sometimes higher for people who are specialists. In Australia, up to 54-year-olds can serve in certain technical and reserve capacities. Why? Because modern warfare and national defense have evolved. They've evolved beyond pure brawn. In today's military, brains matter as much as muscle. Technology, intelligence, strategy, and logistics play such a crucial role that require experience, analytical thinking, and calm under pressure. These are qualities that come sometimes only with age. So yes, a 30-year-old engineer, a nurse, or IT specialist could be an incredible addition to the Ghana Armed Forces. A 32-year-old with a degree in cybersecurity or diploma in mechanical engineering, for instance, could still serve his country in ways a younger recruit may not yet be able to. Our armed forces should be leveraging experience, not excluding it. Even within traditional combat units, Physical strength alone should not be the metric. There are many 33-year-olds who can outperform 24-year-olds in fitness, resilience, and a mental stamina. Fitness is a matter of conditioning. It is not a fixed number on a birth certificate. However, any reform of the recruitment age must also come with an overhaul of how the forces are structured. Because beyond age, fellow Ghanaians, the bigger question is, are we creating enough space for people with diverse skill sets to contribute to national security? Are we investing in the human capital that a modern military requires? Drones, cyber warfare, satellite communication, artificial intelligence, and logistics management. These are the new frontiers of modern defense. Our armed forces must not only defend Ghana's borders, they must be prepared for cyber threats, environmental disasters, peacekeeping, and even humanitarian missions. For that, we need both youth and experience. But still, we cannot continue to govern through social media. It has its usefulness for communicating policy to the public, for engaging citizens, for transparency even. But when social media becomes the main avenue for those in power to petition themselves, then governance begin to look a bit like theater. Raising the age limit to 35 will give not only so much more Ghanaians the opportunity to serve, it will also align with our demographic and social realities. Many graduates in Ghana complete university at 24 or 25. They spend years searching for employment, and by the time they find their feet, they are already aged out of eligibility of the Ghana Armed Forces. This means we are systematically excluding tens of thousands of fit, educated, and motivated Ghanaians simply because they are a few years older. That makes no sense. And then there's also a gender dimension to this. Many women complete their education later due to family responsibilities or childbirth. By the time they are ready to serve, they too are beyond 25 years. So an expanded age limit will help build a more inclusive and gender-balanced force. So, fellow Ghanaians, the military is one of the few state institutions where discipline, merit, and patriotism still hold weight. If we are able to modernize our armed forces for the 21st century, we must recruit from the full spectrum of Ghanaian potential, not arbitrarily shut people out who could serve with distinction simply because of age. So yes, we must amend and change the age limit, but also we need to amend how we govern. Let's ensure that ministers act like ministers and senior leadership parliamentarians who hold the reins of majority power also act like it. There is nothing wrong with a robust public engagement, but the real work, the hard work, must always happen behind closed doors, in cabinet, in parliament, in the committee rooms, and in official memos, not just on the timelines of Facebook and X. We must also remember that the issue of age and eligibility doesn't only apply to the armed forces, it cuts across our public institutions. And so we have age limits that disqualify experienced and competent people from serving in various sectors. The obsession with youth sometimes blinds us to the value of experience. We need a balanced nation, a nation that does not make the use of its full capacity of its people, both young and mature, is a nation that will keep reinventing failure. Fellow Ghanaians, the time for symbolic governance is over. We must get serious about reform in the military, in the civil service, and in our politics. Ministers must lead, parliamentarians must act. The system itself must work, because if everyone in power starts behaving like they are in opposition, who then will be left to govern? So, fellow Ghanaians, this morning, the message is simple. We need to change from 25 to perhaps 35. But the calls must get serious. People who have power to change and make these changes and get those who can change these policies must do so. They know what to do. I'll see you again same time tomorrow. Have a great morning.